Good morning. I certainly expected to be able to see you in person today in our parking lot service, but unfortunately we had a little bit of a drop in temperature and some wind and some rain. So we're on Zoom today, and today is March 21st, 2021. I can comfortably say that this is our last Sunday on Zoom, and I hope you'll join us next week in our parking lot for the Burning Bowl service, which is going to be a wonderful service. So do please plan on joining us. And don't forget, 2 weeks from today is Easter, and that'll be our first Sunday inside the sanctuary, inside the building in more than a year. So we're looking forward to that as well. And we have plenty of seating. We have over 60 social distancing seating. So feel free to join us. We'll be so delighted to see you. And of course, do please bring a mask. And for some reason you forget one, don't worry about it. We have several at the church for you to be able to take with you. So there you have it. So as far as other announcements, we are beginning a class. And let's see if I can get this to work. Here we go. You Can't Sleep Through Your Awakening by Jane Simmons. This is going to be our next class. This is a class between spirit groups, because we'll be starting spirit groups in June. But this is a Wednesday class. So I hope you'll join us. Check the website out for the times and registration. We look forward to seeing you on that. But You Can't Sleep Through Your Awakening by Jane Simmons. Thank you for that. And so I'm going to switch things up today. I'm going to do the talk first and then do the meditation based on the talk, which I think it'll be much more impactful to you by doing it that way. So let's at least open in prayer, shall we? Yeah, it's always good to do that, right? Where two or more are gathered together, there God is in the midst of them. So let's just get still and we just praise this day. Praise all that we have already in our lives, for this truly is the day that the Lord has made, and we possess that ability to create this beautiful day right here, right now. So we are open and receptive to all that happens in our lives today, because it is always leading us to our highest and possible good. And for this, we are grateful. We are grateful for the ability to know the wisdom of God resides within us, and it motivates us and it moves us into above the line behavior, into a greater awareness of the presence of God. And so for this, we say amen, 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 and so it is. Today, we're wrapping up the fourth lesson in our prosperity series. And so it's important that we recognize that this is a phased approach, that there are 4 rules of engagement for prosperity in our lives. And I like to call them rules rather than laws. You see, there's this notion that laws are made to be broken, but if there's a rule, it changes the way we approach it. It changes the way we approach it. And so there are 4 rules, and we've been dealing with the first 3, and today we're going to capsize it with pull it all together. We're going to pull it all together today. And so we're going to start in Jesus's 3rd year in his ministry, and this is coming from Matthew. Matthew writes for the Jews. That's who he wrote for. So it tends to take a different look. Now, this is his 3rd year in his ministry, and what we know happens in the 3rd year of his ministry, he is crucified, right? And we're getting ready to celebrate Easter in just a couple of weeks, so it's perfect timing for this. And this particular Bible verse is also about paying your taxes, which is also perfect timing, right? Everybody's got to pay their taxes unless you don't, right? So that's what this story is about. Now, it's in his 3rd year of his ministry. He really is focusing on not as much about the miracles in healing people and his discord. So much of that happened in the 2nd year. This 3rd year of his ministry is all about teaching the disciples. He wants them to understand the message and to know and to learn, because he knows his fate. and it's coming, it's approaching. And he's spending more and more time with the disciples. And so this particular Bible verse from Matthew 17, verse 24 through 27, it's just 3 verses. And it's about paying your taxes. Now, what's happened right before this is healing of a boy with seizures. Now, I bring that up because we're going to talk about this lesson in a couple of weeks, but this is where the disciples are coming from. They were asked to heal this boy, and they couldn't. And Jesus shows up and heals the boy. And there's a whole metaphysical lesson in that. So the next verse is the one we're going to deal with today. So from that notion, you can see the state of mind that the disciples might be in. Right? They've just been, I can't do this state of mind. We're not ready for you to leave us state of mind. So our verse starts here. Matthew 17, verse 24 through 27. And when they had come to Capernaum, those who received the temple tax came to Peter and said, "Does your teacher not pay the temple tax?" He said, "Yes." And when he had come into the house, Jesus anticipated him, saying, "What do you think, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth take customs or taxes? From their own sons or from strangers?" Peter said to him, "From strangers." Jesus said to him, "Then the sons are free. Nevertheless, lest we offend them, go to the sea, cast in a hook, and take the fish that comes up first. And when you have opened his mouth, you will find a piece of money. Take that and give it to them for me and for you." How is this a prosperity lesson? It's a very good lesson. In fact, the tax was a temple tax, and it was considered half a shilling, half a shekel, is due every year by those living in Jerusalem and those foreigners that are visiting or living there. Taxes. And so Peter's approached at the temple by the temple police, the IRS for Jerusalem, and said, "Hey, does your master, this guy you're following around, does he pay tax?" And Peter, of course, says, "Yes, of course he does." All right, he goes back home and he goes, "Uh-oh, ruh-roh. I don't have money to even pay my own tax. And yet now I got to pay a tax for Jesus. I got to pay tax for this man because he doesn't have any source of income, right? He's roaming the countryside, teaching them, the disciples, how to do what he's doing. So he knows he's in a pickle. But Jesus has just showed them how to heal the epileptic, the seizure boy, And so you have little faith. So here's Peter, who represents faith. So Peter is thinking, he's a fisherman. That's his trade. So he gets his money by fishing. And so there are numerous incidences in the Bible where Peter is casting his net, right? So Jesus says, "Hey, what do you think? Should I pay a tax? Or should it just be for strangers?" Peter says, "It should just be for strangers." He said, but let's not offend the tax man. Let's pay. Let's pay. So listen, go cast a hook, not a net. Go cast a hook, and the first fish you catch, open its mouth, and there you will find enough to pay my tax and yours. So the story goes that that's what Peter does. Sure enough, he opens up the first fish he catches on a hook, and there is the shilling, the shekel. The shekel is a weight, and that's how. So you needed half a particular weight to pay your fair share of the temple tax, right? So the prosperity lesson here is looking for our expected good, because it can come from expected places and also unexpected places. So for Peter, he was going to go fishing. His expected way to pay this tax, the expected way, And Jesus says, you got part of it right. It is in a fish, but you don't have to go fishing. You're just going to put a hook in the water and you'll get your needs met. Expected and unexpected places. You see, if we put all of our expected good in a little square container, we limit the possibilities of God, because we'd say all things are possible with God. And if that's the case, then why would we limit where it comes from? Never limit your good. Never limit where it's coming from. Keep your eyes open, because it can come from so many different sources. But we close our eyes because we think it should be in this funnel. No. Include any possibility for our good. Any possibility. In Your Hope of Glory by Elizabeth Santurner. And I can't stress enough the importance of this book. Your Hope of Glory by Elizabeth Santurner. She takes Fillmore, the Bible, and she interprets it. And this one, Your Hope of Glory, is the New Testament. So if you want to dive into what the Bible really is about metaphysically, she's your source. And she posts Fillmore in. Now remember, so many people say it's hard to understand Charles Fillmore. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were the co-founders of the Unity movement. So hard to understand him, and I disagree. But this certainly helps Your Hope of Glory. So let me share with you what Elizabeth Santurner says about this particular Bible verse. The miracle emphasizes the fact that divine substance is at hand to meet all of our needs. Plenty exists in the most unexpected places. We should never limit supply to channels that we know of, but should keep our consciousness receptive to the idea of abundance in order that good can manifest in any of God's ways. Expected from the expected source, but also expected from the unexpected source. Now, she uses the word abundance here when we've been talking about substance. Substance is abundance. Substance is our ability to create. And abundance is just one aspect of substance. She's using the word abundance here as if it applies to a limited thing, but it doesn't. Substance is everything, every single thing. But should keep our consciousness receptive to the idea of abundance, receptive to the idea of substance, in order that good can manifest in any of God's ways. What are God's ways? Everything. Remember, God is. And so the ability to create substance can be created anywhere, anytime, anything. We learned that last week with the host of the desert being able to feed the 5,000. It can happen anywhere, anyhow, no matter how much. Now, so let's talk about all four of these lessons. Let's talk about all four of these lessons. And it looks like this. Now, this is coming from What Are You by Amelia Shanklin, which we're finally through this book. We used it as part of our spirit groups. Great lesson, great book. Most of you have this book. So in having it, feel free, when you're done listening to this talk, to turn to the resource page, page 147. It's the last page of the chapter titled Your Resource. And this is what she says. Now, we have the first lesson, which is the woman at the temple door when Elijah shows up in the Old Testament. She thinks that she's going to starve to death. She believes it. Food's run out. Elijah teaches her otherwise. And the prosperity lesson here is that if you believe in scarcity, you get scarcity. So you can believe in plenty, but that's not enough, because scarcity will creep its way in. So the first lesson is substance is the presence of God. It does not fail. God always creates, and we are the one controlling that creativity through our substance. So she learns about an unlimited supply with God. There is no scarcity. Lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is the guest at the wedding. And this is where we learned not only the prosperity lesson, but also that when we stop referring Jesus as creating miracles, but call it for what it is, he was a guest at a wedding, and he made sure that the host didn't run out of wine. This is where we begin the understanding that we represent all that Jesus did, and then some, even more, even more. Here, the lesson is substance is adaptable to all of our demands. The form that is necessary to my well-being appears. He turned water into wine, right? He didn't want a scene. His mother didn't want a scene at this wedding. They wanted to continue with the festivities, but they ran out of wine. So substance is adaptable, water turning into wine. The substance that we create is adaptable to our needs. And remember, he demands it. He demands it from the servants. When our demands are always met, when we become adaptable. When we become adaptable. The third lesson is the host in the desert. Again, not Jesus feeding the 5,000, but there was this man who hosted 5,000 people, and he didn't want that event to end. He wanted to continue to teach. He's in his second year of his ministry. He wanted to teach. And it was time to eat. His disciples reminded him, they're about ready to walk out. If we don't feed them, we got to figure this out. And here the substance is, the stream of substance flows through our hands. He takes what he knows, which is the fish and the loaves, and he holds them and he demands. He gives gratitude, but gratitude's not enough. He disperses it and it flows right from him. Substance becomes unlimited with more left over. Substance becomes unlimited. And so today our lesson is substance is everywhere. Substance is everywhere. And we know this, we just forget. It comes to me from expected and unexpected sources. These are our 4 lessons. These are our 4 lessons. And Amelia Shankman tells us that when we operate using all 4 of these methods, so much is available to us. There's no limit. There's no limit to what we can receive and create. We don't hoard. We freely give. The woman at the gate gave of her last meal, or so she thought. She discovered that when you freely give, you get so much back. And yet, we must give with no strings attached. And the second lesson is that be adaptable. Be adaptable to where your substance is. And third, touch your substance. Let it flow from you. Let it be part of who you are, knowing there is always, always enough to go around with some left over. And today's lesson is expect your good from expected and unexpected places. They are all aspects of your substance, your creativity, your abundance. For you create the substance, and we find out how to do that creation through prayer and meditation. Through prayer and meditation. So let us begin a meditative state. Let's go into our prayer and meditation. And I really do invite you to put both feet on the ground. Put your palms up and place them gently on your thighs. And feel the chair that you're sitting on. Feel your lower back being supported by the chair. You have no cares in the world right now. Anything that's troubling you, just put it in. Imagine putting it in a pan on the back burner of a stove, filling it with all those things, and just put it in the background. Let's not focus on it. You can pick it up later. Our function here is to get still, is to be connected to that divine within you, that God essence, that substance that we call God, that divine idea. And we're just going to allow ourselves for this moment to be at peace, to be still. I am connected with God. I am right here, right now. No, I am connected with God. For that essence we call God resides within us always, always, waiting to be used, waiting to be tapped into the resources, the unlimited possibilities with God. God is waiting for you to come to the realization that all your needs are always met with God. There is no scarcity of anything. There is plenty. There is plenty to fulfill your needs. And you give freely of what you have, knowing there is plenty. And that you don't live in a scarcity mindset. You live in a plenty mindset. You have plenty, and there is plenty. You become adaptable. You see ways for things to be created. You become flexible, for you know that the demands that you have will be met when we become adaptable and flexible to how they're accomplished. And we know that the flow of substance within us provides all, and that you never run out. There's enough for everybody, with even more than you thought possible. There is always enough to go around. And you expect your good. You expect abundance. You expect the substance to come to you from expected and unexpected ways. You are an expecting, abundant, prosperous individual. You can expect your good. You see, you no longer have to ask for good to happen. You expect it. And it comes in all different ways. Ways of which we do not know of yet, but soon will. You expect your good. For substance is yours to create. You create the substance with which your prosperity comes from. You are a prosperous, loving, caring human being, and all of your needs are met. I am a prosperous human being. All of my needs are met. I am a prosperous human being, and all my needs are met. I have plenty to take care of everything I need. I can freely give, expecting good to come back into my life. Not because I demand it, but because I know it to be true. I am a prosperous human being with all of my needs always being met. And we take that into our day knowing that I am prosperous. I create wonderful substance in my life. I create wonderful substance in my life. And for this, we are grateful and we know it to be our truth. And so it is. Amen. And so it is. Amen. So I invite you to feel free to give to our movement, our Unity Spiritual Center, through your gifts and tithes. We accept your checks in the mail, and we also use Tithely, which you can find the link on our website. So all gifts are welcome, for it furthers the ministry that you're enjoying. So on that, I wish you a wonderful day. I know we'll see you next week for the Burning Bowl. I know that you'll check out You Can't Sleep Through Your Awakening. I know that next week, without a shadow of a doubt, it will be a beautiful Sunday morning. Godspeed. Namaste.